Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking our third look at the very early number-only vintage Pan paperbacks. Absolutely love this series, and we're starting to see some real classics turn up in the main run now. So that will be the subject of today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Right then, so we continue our way working through the original numbered only Pan books. So they're called the numbered only series because there is just a number on the spine. There's no prefix such as G, GP, X, T, whatever. So it's just the numbered only series, and these generally were the very earliest of the Pan books, and also at 2 shillings cover price. The difference in number was basically down to how much the books actually cost. Now this one, to put it in context, is 1952. This is a 1952. It's the late George Apley, John P. Marquand. Don't know much about that. I do know, I have heard of his other book, H.M. Pullum Esquire. So that's the very first book we're going to look at. Then we got number 202, which is Ripeness is All, Eric Linklater. Bit of a humorous book, apparently, that one. 203, The Indian Rubber Men, Edgar Wallace. Quite a nice little jacket, that one. 207 is Father Malachi's Miracle, Bruce Marshall. A diverting novel of a modern miracle. Well, I wonder what that's all about. I haven't got a full run of these. I'm missing certain numbers, and I'm just going to show you what I've got in my collection. But I am trying to get these numbered ones complete. Not every number was even used, so some of them are missed because they weren't actually used. And if you are trying to put together a run of these, obviously I would suggest you go to tikit.net, that's tikit.net, and if you go there, you can have a look at Tim's Pan Collector's website, which lists every single pan that was ever printed. Number 208 here is The Saint in London, Leslie Charteris. Well, I do like my my Saint books, and these hold up quite well in actual fact, even today. So Pan definitely printed a lot of Saint books. They published loads of these. So that's The Saint in London. 209, The Man Who Found Himself, Naomi Jacob. That one's got a 2 shilling overstamp on that one, so I'm not sure, that may have been an export copy that came back. Clues to Christabel, Mary Fitt. I think that's a crime and detective one, that particular one. Noel Stratfield, Grass in Piccadilly. A novel of post-war London. Stratfield was, of course, famous for the book Ballyshoes, I believe, the young adult book. Paradise Place, Warwick Deeping. You'll notice that some of these aren't exactly in the best of conditions, but that's because, well, they either don't turn up very often, or I've not really gone out of my way to buy nice copies. I just sort of upgraded them as I've come across them in my years of looking for vintage paperbacks. Some of them I've had multiple times, other ones seem quite scarce. 213 is Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. A distinguished novel of spaceship adventure. Nice little jacket. That early 50s sci-fi is always cool, isn't it? 214, Mine Own Executioner, Nigel Bolchin. A dramatic novel, filmed and broadcast. Okay. 215, Two Names Upon the Shore, Suzanne Ertz. 216, The Secret of Secret Valley, Jackson Gregory. That looks like an early western. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Pan did a few westerns, a few classics. There's a couple of Zane Greys in here as well. 1952, that one. The western genre is definitely something that I've been getting more into lately. No doubt in part due to the coverage in Paperback Warrior magazine, website rather, and their podcast. There's a great fanzine called Hot Lead, which you can get off Amazon, which is just on westerns. It's great stuff. And of course, there's a new podcast that started, a western podcast called Six Gun Justice, which has only just had a couple of episodes, but that's also worth recommended. Yeah, you check that one out if you do like westerns. 217 then, The Wild Sweet Witch, a dramatic novel of India. Okay. Grey Mask, a Miss Silver thriller, Patricia Wentworth, a crime title, that one. The Case of the Curious Bride, Earl Stanley Gardner. So that's a nice early Perry Mason title. Classic, this one, Graham Greene, Stamboul Train. Brilliant jacket on that one. Pan did a few Graham Greenes, but they were predominantly published by Penguin, but Penguin managed to cheese him off for a while because they misspelled his surname on one of his books, and I don't think he ever forgave them, at least not for many years. 221 is Puzzle for Fools, Patrick Quinton, a Peter Duluth mystery. There you are. 222, The Emperor's Candlesticks, Baroness Orczy. Oh yeah, famous for the Scarlet Pimpernel, of course. 223, another crime one, Still Dead, Ronald A. Knox. 224, Peter Cheney, and You Can Call It a Day. Cheney was famous for like statements, you can call it a day, you can't do this, you can do that, in his titles. And Pan published an awful lot of them, if not all of them, in fact, until Penguin got hold of them. And then 225 is a historical romance with a sticker again, real nice condition copy of Peter Abelard by Helen Waddell. A world famous love story. Well, there you go. Next one is great. This is Ashenden, or The British Agent. It's a Secret Service novel. I've heard more than one modern day author say that this book was a real influence on them. So you might want to track a copy of Ashenden down by W. Somerset Maugham. Oh, speaking of Zane Grey earlier, here is a Zane Grey, The Heritage of the Desert. Nice early Pan Western. Not a particularly good title. That you do find when you get the Westerns that they're not in the greatest of shape. I mean, that is admittedly, in fact, all of these are almost 70 years old now, so we have to bear that in mind when we look through these. 228, Pan did a few of these, so Better English. So teaching you to write and speak better English. 229, The Constant Nymph, Margaret Kennedy. I've had a few copies of this and never seems to turn up in nice condition. My copy's quite worn, of 229. 230, Portrait of Elmbury, John Moore. A lively chronicle of a country town. Oh. Got a nice jacket on that one. 230. 231, The House in Lordship Lane, A.E.W. Mason. A Hunold detective story, covered by Sachs. 233, Straight and Crooked Thinking. Another one of those sort of self-help titles that crept into the Pan list. There's a few of them. Not difficult to get. 234, Pharaoh's Daughter, Georgette Hare. Certainly quite collectible. This is one of her early Regency Buck novels, and they're sought after in their own right. In fact, she's all round quite collectible, Georgette Hare. 235, Vicky Balm, Results of an Accident. Big thick one, that. 236, The Brighter Buccaneer, Leslie Charteris, Stories of the Saints. So I guess this is one of those ones where they pulled together some of the multiple short stories into the one book, which they often did. 1953. Yeah, nice saint title, that. Leslie Charteris. 237, Minute for Murder, Nicholas Blake. Nice jacket, that one. I like that slumped over the desk there. FVM, whoever that artist was. That was 237. 238, Case of the Dangerous Dowager, Earl Stanley Gardner. Another Perry Mason title there. 239, Wisdom of Father Brown, G.K. Chesterton. I remember my dad recommending the Father Brown books to me, and I don't know if this is one of his. I did get, in the end, I got his my mum's libraries. Again, I was pestering them. My mum had loads of the Agatha Christies, and Dad had all the James Bonds and things like that. In fact, that's probably how I ended up starting to collect them. He also had these pan editions of Father Brown, but I could never really get into them. And I'm not a huge fan of the TV show that they've sort of adapted recently. But there you go. Each to his own. Each to his own. John Buckham, I do like. Island of Sheep. Richard Hannay, his famous protagonist. Excellent. I like all the John Buckhams, and these do still stand up very, very well. So those come recommended. Nice copy of that. Graham Greene's quite famous. It's a Battlefield. Not the best of copies, but a fantastic book nonetheless. Nice pan edition of that one. Nice jacket. Mine's got a bit of wear on, but I'm not complaining. 243. The Savoy Grill at 1. Stephen Lister. Okay. Big Business Racketeering Exposed. Okay. So this looks like... That looks like it's factual, believe it or not. 245, The Trimmed Lamp. 25 renowned stories by O. Henry, including The Last Leaf, one of the stories filmed in Full House. Oh, there you go. O. Henry, eh? The Stone of Chastity, Marjorie Sharp, 246. As I said, these numbered ones go up to about 440 or something like that. And then we go on to the giants, pan giants. So this is Jim Maitland, Sapper. In total, if you're trying to collect pan books from, which is what I do, pre-19, or pre-ISBN, so pre-like 1969, 1970, you are looking to be pulling together about 2,500 books in total. I'm on my way there. I've nowhere near got them all, but I've probably got maybe, I don't know, I've definitely got more than half, let's put it that way. A Forest of Eyes, Victor Canning. Nice thriller. 248. Cool stuff. So I'm just going to pause there, make a bit more room for the next two stacks. So 250 is Agatha Christie's The Man in the Brown Suit. Love my Agatha Christie's, and Pan published many of them. That's a really nice cover, that, in the London Underground. You can just see the little bit of the logo there, the Hyde Park logo for the London Underground. That's number 250. 251, another cracking early Pan, which is The Time Machine, with The Man Who Could Work Miracles by H.G. Wells. Very interesting cover there. Depiction of the time machine. Quite basic by today's standards. Woodman was the cover artist on that one. 252, No More Than Human. Maura Laverty. Enchanting novel of a girl's adventures in Spain. Okay. Remind me not to read that one. Ever. Voyage to Venus. Prialandra, C.S. Lewis, and we've seen a couple of C.S. Lewis in Pan, and they did do a few more. Novel of Strange Adventure on Another World by the author of Out of the Silent Planet, which we have already seen. And Pan were quite keen to get in on the sci-fi genre. 254, really nice Saint book, Alias the Saint. Leslie Charteris, absolutely fantastic, that pulling away the curtain to see what was going on behind that closed curtain. I love a cover that sort of tells a bit of the story. Excellent stuff. And this is basically this got 3 of the short stories in, because he did so many of those. 1953, Alias the Saint. 257, Star Quality, 6 brilliant stories by Noel Coward. Who'd have thought it? Bit of a beaten up old copy, this one, but it is Noel Coward after all, let's be honest. 258, The Woman in the Sea, Shelley Smith. So what's going on there? That's quite interesting, isn't it? That silhouette there. A dramatic novel of a crime. I like that jacket, that's quite inventive, isn't it? 259, To Love and Be Wise, Josephine Tay, another detective story by the author of The Franchise Affair. Look at that, detective story, more or less, by the author of The Franchise Affair. 259. 260, another Edgar Wallace, The Square Emerald. I said I tried to read some Edgar Wallace recently, and they just were so dated I just couldn't handle them. 260, 261, so Belief and Action and Everyday Philosophy. Viscount Samuel, look at the state of him. A stimulating book that points a way out from the confusion of our time. Revised edition with a new introduction. Look at that moustache. The revised edition, first published 1953. Came out just before the war. 262, The Crock of Gold. James Stephens, with a foreword by Walter de la Mare. A bureau cover, that's quite a nice little stylized jacket. 262. 263, My Late Wives, an HM detective story by Carter Dixon. Okay, is that all his ex-wives there, I'm guessing? That's 263. 265, Operation Heartbreak, Duff Cooper. The story which is linked with one of the most astounding secrets of the war. A little masterpiece, says Sir Compton Mackenzie. So this is an early Pan war book. They were to publish many, many war books later on as the genre became super popular. 264, Agatha Christie's Five Little Pigs, a Poirot detective story. Classic stuff. 266, the Pan edition of Ghost Stories of an Antiquary, M.R. James, another absolute classic. Pan were no stranger to publishing this sort of fiction, as we'll see later on. Lots of good stuff to come with a Pan book of horror stories for one. So 267, Turn the Key Softly, John Brophy, a dramatic novel that's recently filmed about 3 women just released from prison. So I wonder what they did wrong, eh? What did they do wrong? 267. 268, classic, The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Excellent cover there. Sort of set, I believe, in Victorian times. Never read much Thomas Hardy, but I hear they're good. Alexandra Barron, 269, There's No Home, by author of From the City, From the Plough. Okay, that looks like another war-related title. 269. Walter de la Mare, The Return, another classic. A famous novel of possession by evil spirit. Sad Cypress, 271, another Agatha Christie. A Hercule Poirot adventure. Not the greatest of covers, but, you know, You Can't Hit a Woman, Peter Cheney. I've had numerous copies of this one. It must be quite common. I've got a really nice edition of it now, the best one that I've had through my hands. It's virtually unread, this one, but yeah, another one of the you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't hit a woman. I wouldn't dream of it. Wouldn't dream of it, sir. Next is number 273, absolute favourite of mine, and that's The Colditz Story by Pat Reed. I got into Colditz quite well in the 1970s. I remember seeing the BBC adaptation in repeat and absolutely loving it. And they actually did a Colditz exhibition in the town in Plymouth where I live, and that's when I got into it. And Pan published The Colditz Story. This is the first edition of it. In fact, I love it so much, I've got 2 copies of it. It got reprinted many, many times. He did a follow-up, The Latter Days at Colditz, as well, which this one just covers Pat Reed's actual escape, and then The Latter Days at Colditz is his fellow prisoners getting away, escaping. And if you've never read it, it is absolutely riveting. Really, really great war story. 274 is The Angry Mountain, early Hammond Innes. Title, A Vivid Tale of Man with a Secret Fear. Now we're on to the last stretch. So 275, The Willow Cabin, Pamela Francu. And I would like to know, of my watchers, if you're watching this now and you're thinking of collecting, that's while I make a bit of room. If you're thinking of collecting, or do you already collect Pam books, have you found these videos useful? How far are you in your collection? Are you almost there, or have you got another few thousand to go? Let me know in the comments. I'd be very interested to know where you are in your collection. So this is a tatty old Leslie Charteris Pan, the Ace of Knaves. Really, really worn copy of this one. Perhaps one that you could say needs a bit of an upgrade. But hey, it's there. It's a filler. It will do for the time being. That's 276. 277, Dark Bahama. Peter Cheney. Quite a famous one. Very nice, nice jacket on that one. 279, The Pearl and Burning Bright by John Steinbeck. So this is the first of many, many John Steinbeck novels that were published by Pan. They're all fantastic. This one isn't the best of the covers, but there's great books by Steinbeck to come, published by Pan. Another romance by Maza de la Roche, Master of Jalna. That was her famous series, the Jalna series, of which Pan published them all. R. Austin Freeman, that's The Penrose Mystery, a Dr. Thorndyke detective story. 282, that one. 283, The Tall Headlines by the author of The Singer Not the Song, Audrey Erskine Lindop. Oh dear, look at that, the old hangman's noose there. The Ordeal of a Family Shadowed by Disgrace. Oh, the tall, looks pretty grim, doesn't it? 283. 285 is All Glorious Within, Bruce Marshall. The sales of this famous novel exceed 1 million copies. Look at that. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. 286 is The Return of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle. Well, we all love Conan Doyle. That's obviously from The Dancing Men there. One of his famous Sherlock Holmes stories. In fact, one of my favourites. In fact, The Dancing Men. Holmes has to try and crack the code, which he, of course, manages to do. Absolutely fantastic stuff. 287 is Duplicate Death by Georgette Hare. Another one of her detective stories rather than her romances. Brilliant, brilliant artwork on the front covers there. Carl Wilton. They really did make an effort, didn't they, Pan, on their jackets? They really do. And they just get better as time goes along. England Made Me, another absolutely classic Graham Greene, the third one in this batch of 100 that we've looked at. I think this one's set during the war. Fantastic stuff. That was 286. 290, Showboat, A Romance of the Mississippi. I got the corner cut on that one. Edna Ferber. 290. 291. The Mountains Have a Secret by Arthur Upfield, a Napoleon Bonaparte thriller. Great stuff there. Another massive seller for Pan, and that's 292, Escape or Die by Paul Brickhill. Authentic stories of the RAF escaping society. Introduction by H.E. Bates. Whether Pan got the rights to this one as soon as they saw how well Colditz was selling. That's probably what happened. At 292, but an absolutely a very, very common book. Hard to find in first edition, I found that one. 293, The Case of the Fan Dancer's Horse. Another Earl Stanley Gardner one. Great jacket on that one. Really nice, that. Perry Mason again. Last few now. So this is 296. This is Rain on the Wind. Walter McKen. A novel full of dramatic and racy incident. Oh dear. Don't know about that. 297. Spaceways, a mystery story of the very near future. Another classic sort of 50s B-movie sci-fi sort of influenced book. Of course, all the sci-fi pulps are in full swing by now. Let's look at the date of this one. About 52, 53, 54 even. So that would be the heyday of those sorts of movies. This is 297. Oh, it's another copy of it. So why have I got two? Possibly because it is a sci-fi title, and I generally keep doubles of some of the sci-fi ones because I generally read them. 298, The Frogman. I love, I don't know what it was, the story of wartime underwater opera. I don't know what it was, but there was some sort of, I don't know, was it a trend or it was like a bit of a craze for frogman-related stories and adventure. And they are quite fascinating when you look at them today. This is obviously non-fiction. It's got a little photo piece in there as well. Pretty cool stuff, this, actually. And a lovely jacket. Real, that for me, this is just what these early Pans are like. I just love them. 298. So this is 299, which is The Clue of the Twisted Candle by Edgar Wallace. So this one is another classic crime book. And then number 300, the last one we'll look at today, is another great prime title, Open Verdict by Richard Cavern. Nice copy of that one because it's quite dark, so that would be a difficult one to find in nice condition. Number 300 there on the spine. A first-class mystery tale. There we are. So that is my collection of Pan books from numbers 201 up to number 300. If you have enjoyed this video, do please give it a thumbs up and a like. Do please consider subscribing for regular vintage Pan book content and other vintage paperbacks. I've got stacks on the channel, and there's still lots more to come, particularly in the Pan department. There's probably, I don't know how many more videos, at least another 15 or 16, I would think, to get through the whole collection. And I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.